Hi, this is Natalie Clack from JustBE Coaching Company in Johannesburg, South Africa, and welcome to our show, Self-Help Tools for the Busy Entrepreneur. And today we are super lucky because we are going to interview the finest gentlemen on their business. So first of all, I'd like to introduce you to Brian de Castro. He has been a fitness and lifestyle coach for over 20 years and has several roles ranging from fitness frontline to management, leadership, teaching, and business ownership. His current mission is to help clients optimize health and inner power in order to bring their best to all life's endeavors. By blending the fundamentals of health and lifestyle design with Reiki healing, he delivers an intuitive yet practical approach that supports each client in navigating their unique wellness journey. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Thanks for having us.
Awesome.
Looking forward to chatting today.
It's going to be exciting. Okay, and then I'd like to introduce you to Steve Anderson. He's coached beach volleyball at 5 Olympic Games and is the first and only African American to head coach on the Olympic volleyball team. Woohoo! I love volleyball. He has over 30 years experience coaching professional and Olympic athletes, and his accolades include 2000 Olympic gold medal, 1996 Olympic bronze medal, 2018 Commonwealth gold medal, 6 World Championship medals, 1990 to 2000 FIVB International Team of the Decade, and as head coach of Volleyball Canada's beach volleyball program in his teams, won the 2019 World Championships and become world ranked #1. So as an entrepreneur, Steve has owned several businesses, including Steve Anderson Gold Consulting, Sand Sport Events, EPOD Records, Moorish Restaurant, Third Degree Dance Company, and Champions Toolbox Executive Coaching. He's also co-founded 3 non-profit organizations, the Association of Beach Volleyball Coaches in the USA, the African Scouts of Queensland, Oz, is that versus Oz?
Australia, Queensland,
and
Australia.
Journey Can. Woohoo! He is currently the head coach of Vanuti Beach Volleyball Program and a venture partner with R3I Ventures and president and CEO of Small Business is Essential. So welcome to our show, Steve. It's good to have you.
Thank you.
They bring
Natalie,
some exciting vibe. I'm quite excited.
Thank you.
And last but not least, we'd like to thank Dan Nisker for joining us too. He helps people become more energetic, fit, and confident. He's a certified personal trainer and your partner in fitness. His unique fitness system provides a comprehensive program to develop and maintain your physical well-being. Using varied exercises, he will help you to reach your fitness goals safely and effectively. As a graduate of the Fitness and Health Promotion Program at Humber College, Dan is educated in the latest scientifically sound training techniques. He applies his knowledge of the body and how it responds to different activities and diets so you can get the most out of your workouts. There are no shortcuts in fitness, but some programs are much more effective than others. Even a great program will become ineffective eventually. Your body adapts to workouts as it becomes stronger. Steady progress requires constant adjustments and creative challenges that keep your body guessing. So Dan knows how to challenge your body to optimize your development and reach your goals quicker. Dan will challenge you, he will push you to new limits, and you will have fun at the same time. So contact Dan today for the chance to change your life for the better. So welcome to the show too, Dan. I'm excited to have you on board.
Thank you for having me.
It's going to be great. Okay, so first and foremost, we're going to run this as a little bit of a panel. So we're going to put you a little bit on the spot so our audience can be excited, enthusiastic, and get to know the real you. So first and foremost, Brian, would you be so kind as to tell us and the audience a little bit about you and your business?
As mentioned before, I'm a health and lifestyle coach and Reiki master. I've been in the health and fitness industry for over 20 years. Part of my path began as a graduate of fitness, but also a competitive powerlifter, and more into the strength and conditioning space at first as a personal trainer in the commercial sector, but also going through some other avenues as well, trying to find, quite often when we deploy into the industry, we bounce around a little bit till we find our home. And so while I was competing, in probably my 10th year of competition, I injured myself preparing for a meet, tore my pec muscle, and an interesting thing happened in that moment where I realized a huge sense of relief the moment it happened. Almost like I kind of knew that the chapter was closing, and I was kind of fighting to work with it. But I think what happened was I realized that there's more available, more to do here, and I was in the emergency room waiting for my X-ray with my sling on, going, some good has to come from this. And so that spun me on a little bit of a spiritual path, and I started exploring internally a little bit more, and that's how I kind of got onto this space of like working with people's lifestyles, searching for deeper meaning, and adding a spiritual component to what I do. So when I work with people now, it's more of an integrated approach of the fundamentals of fitness and lifestyle design, but also some life coaching and some higher purpose work as well. So that's kind of encompasses how I operate now as a practitioner.
That's awesome. I'd like to just interject there with my experience with regards to the JustBE. Is that the name of the business?
The JustBE is our little communication platform where we communicate with our community inside of a wellness space we call Life Force within the Explore ProTech networking domain. What we're working on inside of that is our programs that we build together to deliver to those that are experiencing the wellness space.
Oh, that's very exciting. I love what you guys are doing there. I actually cannot believe that we didn't incorporate the tools that you guys have added into our normal gymming. In all this time that we have been doing fitness, I mean, I myself have always been a fitness fanatic. I may not be a consistent fitness fanatic, but I like to, weight train, play around with cardio, and bringing in that spiritual angle with the Reiki and touching base with the coaching and making us stop and actually look at where we are during the process of our fitness. It's almost like a must-have that we really should have thought about before, I must say. All right, Steve, I'd like to open the floor to you. Would you be so kind as to give us a little bit of an idea with regards to yourself and your business and how it all fits together with our program?
Yeah, thank you, Natalie. It was interesting listening to Brian and his journey there. We've all come together here because we have different stories, but similar stories. And I think anyone who is in the high performance space, and business people, especially entrepreneurs, you're in the high performance space. That's, but for me, it has to be holistic. So my personal story is, like I said, I've been to 5 Olympic Games as a beach volleyball coach or a head coach, so running programs. And I've owned different businesses, but I come from a place where that's not the norm. I come from Louisville, Kentucky, and no one really had a lot of expectations for me to do anything. And maybe I didn't have a lot of expectations for myself. And I found sport, how to really express myself through sport. And I realized there was a business opportunity there. So back in 1994, I started my first business, and it became everything. And getting to the Olympics, that became my goal. Made it to the Olympics, got a bronze medal in 96, got a gold medal in 2000, got divorced in 2001. So it's like a lot of people who are chasing excellence, striving to achieve something. A lot of times that comes from our wounds, trying to prove something, trying to fill something up, and it drives us to performance, but we don't do it in a holistic way. I didn't do it in a holistic way, and it cost me, my marriage at that time, but it also cost me my mental health. It wasn't what I would call success. It was achievement, but it wasn't success because there wasn't any real fulfillment in it. Yeah. So now I really focus on helping people build holistic high performance and success with fulfillment. So we can achieve a lot, but if you don't do it in a way that fulfills you, do you really call that success?
Absolutely.
And I found out the hard way, for me, it wasn't success. So when Brian talked about the relief he felt, tearing his muscle and not being able to strive and push himself anymore. There was a relief there because he was really pushing himself, but for what purpose, for what outcome? And I think a lot of entrepreneurs, especially, we get so caught up in trying to make our businesses work and pushing, we lose our health, especially our mental, emotional health. If not physical health, we lose our families. Sometimes we lose our integrity along the way, and it becomes, win at all costs. So, like I said, my goal now is to help people achieve holistic high performance, so they get harmony in all areas of life while they're reaching even better results. Because even if you can achieve at that level and cost yourself something that you really need, it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
So now I know for a fact that holistic high performance is not optional. If you really want sustained excellence, you have to do it in a way where it's sustainable. You have to do it in a way where it enriches you in your life. It can't drain you, because otherwise you can't maintain the performance, and you won't maintain your results either.
That's very powerful. I like that focus. Your stories touch home, because I just recently pushed myself too fast with the fitness and didn't maintain properly, and I ended up having to force myself onto bed rest for 4 days, which didn't help the situation. And of course, couldn't show up in the business, couldn't show up for the JV partners,
right,
and had to miss my trip to Life Force. So yeah, I so understand that. Dan, if you'd be so kind, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business too, please.
Absolutely. So yeah, I've basically been in the fitness industry for over 10 years now. Yeah, I started working out all the way back in high school, and growing up, my parents always had in-home personal trainers around them. And when I started working out, I always knew I wanted to do something helping people. And yeah, back in the high school gym, people were always asking me questions. I got interested seeing my parents' personal trainers interacting with them. And yeah, I just gave it some thought, and it really just blended well together. And yeah, basically been running with it ever since. And yeah, what really works well with Life Force is, even in my own business, I was already working with like a lot of entrepreneurs, and I was always fascinated that the most successful ones were really focused on their health and fitness. And yeah, I've just noticed that without your health, you don't have your wealth. So that's how we all blend together really nicely.
Absolutely. It makes a lot of sense. When I was in corporate, I also noticed that the guys that were sitting at the top of the corporate chain, they were always the ones that were focusing on fitness, gymming, cycling, on the top teams. So there was a good balance in both their physical and their mental stimulation. And that's what actually helped them to show up better at the top. You want to earn a fat salary, your mind's got to be in peak condition, and it can't be in peak condition if your physical health isn't in place and your mental isn't in a good space. So that makes a lot of sense. Thanks, Dan, for highlighting that for us. Okay, now we're going to go back to Brian. Brian, would you be so kind as to tell us, what do you use daily to deal with the hurdles that come your way as a busy entrepreneur and overcome them?
A huge thing that I look at right now, especially when I'm starting up new clients, but also with myself, quite often our routines or our habits work to a certain point, but life also changes and it's organic. So for example, this morning was I got an early morning walk in to clear my head and move my body, clear some stress for this call today. So I could, get myself grounded and balanced. And so like what I work on with people when I get them started is we look at their existing situation as it is right now, and we look for opportunities to just add or subtract something that's going to make a significant difference in how they're experiencing their day-to-day. And quite often that has to do with planting something that's consistent enough. It's almost like a discipline, right? If they don't have any movement in their lifestyle to begin with, something as simple as a walk can become a discipline. Absolutely. Right? Or I'll say, if you're really busy, can you find 15 minutes? Can we find 15 minutes where you just honor yourself, honor your health, honor whatever you need in that 15 minutes? It'll go a long way, right? So things like meditation, just journaling, light movement, something that's realistic and sustainable within your lifestyle that can be done daily, almost like as a groundwork, like just a foundation to build performance on top of. So that's how I approach it. And as people build these self-sufficiencies, these habits, you start to optimize a little more. You start to redesign your lifestyle and get it to fit in a way that brings you to the next level. So it's often moving around a little bit, but I call it like you might surf a wave for a little bit, and then you look at upgrading or changing or shifting your routines in whatever way it works. We live in a 4-season climate right now too, so my habits will change through winter, spring, summer. So I'm very tuned to the nature as well. So that's kind of how I usually approach it, as simple as possible and accessible, so that it can be done, right?
Yeah. Okay. I really like that. You know, when you're busy, it's quite a challenge to just, you know, start with the discipline. I like that. Tell me, Steve, let's move it on to you. Can you tell me what you use to assist daily to deal with hurdles that come your way as a busy entrepreneur, and how you overcome them?
Yeah, Natalie, I love this question. So it really made me think too, when I read it. I use gratitude, higher purpose, and real perspective. And I write in my journal, and I really take time every day to be grateful, like to sit down and think about what it is I'm grateful for.
Sure.
And a lot of times, just get caught up in the rat race and focus on the problems. And it really starts to take a toll on you. So just really focusing on what I'm grateful for really helps me to keep things in perspective. And then also higher purpose. So, I'm a spiritual person. Doesn't have to be anything spiritual, but my purpose is connected to my spirituality as well. And it's really about making a contribution and helping people. So what that does, it helps to keep my ego in check. You have to have a healthy ego if you're going to do anything, significant in the world. What's going to get you up off the couch? There's something that's going to push and drive you, but that ego needs to be pointed at something that's beneficial, not just to self.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it becomes narcissistic, and you really want to, take the ego and point it at something that's worthwhile, that's going to help you, your family, and, humanity, if you can. So that's how I use higher purpose. And then real perspective. I work with a lot of perfectionists. I didn't know I was a perfectionist till about 5 years ago.
Okay.
I give myself way more leniency than most perfectionists I know. But when I'm on a project or when I'm on purpose, then I take on some traits of perfectionist. Perfectionists are trying to get that perfect performance. They're trying to be perfect. In other words, trying to be without flaw.
Yeah.
And there's nothing that's without flaw. And so it drives us to this point where we lose our fulfillment. And if you're doing something that you love, but you're really getting on yourself to be, being a perfectionist, you lose your love for it. You lose the passion for it over time. So I found this definition of perfect being whole and complete.
Yeah.
So that's just an example of me keeping things in perspective. So instead of, fixating on being, perfectionist and doing things without flaw and being without flaw in myself, which really just means that I'm going to turn inward on myself when I think I'm not being perfect.
Yes. Okay.
So now my new definition of perfect is whole and complete, including all the times that I fall down, and get up, all the things that happen, right? It makes the whole experience whole and complete. And that's what champions do. They overcome challenges, to achieve results. So that just gives me a sense of peace and groundedness when I'm seeking to create a whole and complete result instead of one without flaw. So those are the three major things that I use, on a daily basis: gratitude, higher purpose, and real perspective.
I like that. That's very powerful. You reminded me of a personal story. I decided for about probably 8 months that I was going to be very healthy. So when we went out for dinner, I had chicken and salad. I had steak and salad. I didn't have the dessert. I stuck only to mineral water. Eventually, I got to a point where I was just so depressed. I would watch other people having dessert, other people having potato chips. And I felt so deprived. I was trying so hard to get it right, to be 100% healthy, eat right, think right, gym hard, weight training, obsessively. But I wasn't fulfilling my soul. My soul needed to have a treat once or twice a week just to feed me and help me feel like I was part of the community. So yeah, that fanaticism and the striving for perfection can sometimes cut out the ability to enjoy life and enjoy the people that surround you. You throw yourself right off the bus. Okay, to Dan, can you tell me, sorry to interrupt you, Steve. Yeah, tell me, what hurdles do you struggle with on a day-to-day basis as a busy entrepreneur in this fast environment, and how do you overcome them?
Yeah, I'd say basically just getting everything I want to done in that short 24 hours. So yeah, I've just learned to only focus on 3 to 5 tasks max.
Okay.
Max. And yeah, what's worked for me is getting up early, getting my work out of the way so I have energy and the brain focus to do my task productively. And I'll also only work on something for an hour at a time so I don't get overwhelmed, and make notice to drink water, walk around in between.
Okay.
And I find that's really helpful.
Geez, that's very powerful. Those are tips I can incorporate already.
And one key thing is I always keep it simple. I've told myself if it's complicated, I won't do it. So the story of my business and my life is keep things as simple as possible. And that's worked really well for me.
That's really powerful. That's going to be one I'm going to have to meditate on, working out how to deal with. Because, I like everything overcomplicated, over detailed, and I put way too much pressure on being an entrepreneur that way.
Yeah, I think we all do.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, Brian, tell me, what challenges have you experienced as a busy entrepreneur, and what tools do you use to overcome those?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs can relate to it. And one of the things that came up for me when I was thinking about that question was the lines between your work life and your personal life get really blurry. and sometimes it's just a big blend of stuff happening, and then you sleep and then you eat. So really got to manage that, right? Like you got to schedule yourself in, right? Or else it's likely not to happen, even though we set this stuff in really high priority. But it's easy to slide in that area. Also, the challenge too with a lot of stuff going online these days in the last couple of years, especially for me, I went almost 100% online when things have shifted, and there's no shortage of things to do when you have a device in your hand that is your connection to the entire world. Right. So finding that balance and knowing that Dan mentioned it too, with regards to having like critical tasks that you need to get done. And like there's a huge power in being able to get those things to completion, like things that have the highest yield in your business or in your personal life, whatever it is. I think I love what Steve shared too about gratitude and setting the tone of your mindset as your day goes in, because you can lose perspective very easily when you get overwhelmed, especially as a solo entrepreneur. You haven't quite broken into like a team or a scaling type of situation where you find space again to do the next thing. I always find that definitely in the personal training world, but in the coaching world, there's a tipping point where you get so successful that you're on the brink of completely burning yourself out, right? You're exchanging your time until you run out of time, right? And then that's when you got to make a decision, right? It's kind of a good problem to have in your business, but it's something you want to sort out before it devours you, right?
Absolutely.
So but what'll happen too, a big thing for me was eye-opener was becoming a dad, right? And realizing that I didn't want to miss things, right? And even now I still feel sometimes that that I miss things because I'm physically present, but I'm not emotionally, like I'm not I'm on another planet somewhere.
Yeah.
So I guess another tip would be knowing how to punch out of your day and transition out of your workspace into your home life. And there is like a change of context there between business owner and dad or partner or friend, right? So recognizing these things it allows you to be able to stay in control of the balance and keeping things where they need to be, so that it is a fulfilling, meaningful experience at the same time, even during the hardest times, right?
Absolutely. Geez, that's very powerful. You know, I did the single parenting journey twice over. The first time, my son's already 24, and I did not take a step off the bus. And when it finally turned out that he moved out, I had such regrets because I never did achieve that financial security that I was chasing that whole time. And yet I didn't have a chance to get the time back that I lost. So I'm hoping that by sharing my message with the world, that I will get other parents to stop the train long before they lose the option and the track runs out. Okay, Steve, tell us, what tools do you use as a busy entrepreneur, and what were the challenges that you face?
I faced all of them. every challenge there is to face, I'm sure. The it's no joke. I have faced probably all the challenges. I think anybody who's been in business for any period of time has probably faced all the challenges. And probably several times. How well have we done? So the biggest challenge that I probably face, and it's the thing that I'm really good at, and it's still a challenge, and it's building a team of champions. So it's working with leaders, leading leaders actually. So when you lead followers, usually there's some sort of leverage. You own the business, they work for you. They don't want the responsibility, so they let you have it as the business owner. You know, they want the job, but they don't want to deal with taxes and payroll and all the other stuff. It's different when you work with leaders, other business owners. You partner with them, or like the venture that we've formed here. Everyone's an expert. We don't need each other. We can all do business on our own, but we can't scale it. We can't grow it. Just like Brian said, one of the biggest things that kills small business in particular is growth. The demand of the business starts to overwhelm you as an individual. So unless you can delegate without micromanaging, unless you can collaborate with other people and scale your business, be able to buy your time back, you do what you're talking about. I had to pause there for a moment, listening to you, because that was really powerful for me. And it's happened to me, and it's happened, to so many people, especially when you're on your own business. You just get overwhelmed because you put your whole self into it. And you think that's what's going to deliver you success. And what it really does is traps you.
It does.
Traps you in the business. So you start working in the business 22 hours. I have friends that work, 22 hours, in our business to deliver a result. It's not an uncommon, 22 hours is maybe uncommon, but 18 hours, 16 hours, that's not an uncommon thing for someone building their business.
Absolutely.
But it starts to overwhelm you. You can't sustain it. So you have to be able to lead leaders, and you have to be able to work with leaders. Because when you're working with leaders, sometimes there's power dynamic that you don't have to deal with when you're working by yourself or you're leading followers. So when you're leading leaders, everybody thinks they know the right answer, and they probably do. It's not if the answer is, the right answer or not, it's which direction is the business going to take. Or if it's your business and you're leading other leaders, maybe they have some equity in the business or whatever. How do you keep those relationships in a tight, relationship so that they can move in the same direction? You don't start to splinter off. These are just normal. I work with a lot of change management and these are just natural things that happen inside of businesses. You know, you have all these different personalities, all these different skill base. How do you get everybody in the right position so that the business is effective and efficient?
Yeah, align
So
your strategies, so to speak.
Align the strategies, and everyone has to move in the same direction. We don't all have to be in the same boat.
Okay.
But all the boats have to be rowing in the same direction.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so leading leaders, I think that's not just for me. I think it's one of the biggest challenges that especially entrepreneurs have, because it's easy to start the business or do the business by yourself initially and to bury yourself in the business. But if it's going to grow, you need to have other experts in it. Yeah, if you're the only expert in the business, you have a small business. Yeah. So, and it's tough to have other experts around because, like I say, everybody has to row in the same direction, and that's business. That's big business anyway.
All about aligning sort of your expectations and knowing that you're all working towards the same cause and the same direction and the same focus. So now I'd like to move on to Dan. Tell me, Dan, what hurdles have you had come your way as a busy entrepreneur, and what tools do you use to overcome them?
Yeah, so basically, tasks that come up that weren't part of your schedule. Basically just trying to get things done in an efficient manner. And I just focus on tasks for an hour tops at a time, and take a couple breaks within that hour just to stay energized and not get stressed out or burn out. And also just keep tasks really simple. Otherwise, I'm just not going to do them.
Okay, tell me how you prioritize those tasks. How on the fly, just if you didn't mind asking that.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, so basically I'll always start with the harder tasks first. That might take the longest. And then, leave the easier ones for the end of the day.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. So you basically sit down in your day and you tackle anything that's hard first, then give yourself some breaks in between, and then do the smaller stuff later.
Yeah, exactly. As that Brian Tracy book says, eat that frog.
Okay. Sounds like a plan. Because I struggle with that. I'm a multitask extraordinaire. Spend too much time in corporate as an executive assistant and in sales team support. So you've always got someone throwing a proposal or a quote or a letter or answering the phone or running into the next meeting or grabbing coffee for the boss, or it's just becomes disparate for me. And, I can do lots at the same time, but it doesn't mean I achieve everything that I need to achieve in one day. It can be quite a challenge.
Yeah, I totally agree.
For sure. Okay, tell me, Brian, would you say that the tools that you use are easy to learn, use and incorporate into your day-to-day life?
I think when I start with somebody, we look for the easiest ones first. We look for the opportunities. So if someone's naturally an early riser, we'll try to find a way, like in the fitness space too. I'll say, what do you have access to? Like, what can you get started with in the next 24 to 48 hours? Which means I'm not going to send you to a gym to join a membership. I'm not going to send you the store to get weights. Like, what do you have in your house? What do you have access to? It's almost like let's push the doors that are easy to open first, right? All right. So whatever's going to work in their existing situation is where I would start, right? So those ones are easier to do. Sometimes what I'll do is what we call a 10-day reboot, where remotely I'm connected with them as they fulfill, like, say, a 15-minute meditation practice, right? And you build confidence through implementing a simple habit, and you watch momentum grow along the way. The things that become harder down the road is, say you've managed to keep your meditation practice going for 10 days, bringing that to 40 days, bringing that to 90 days. Okay. That's when I find you get to a point where now the the chatter in the back of your head, the subconscious, the saboteurs and stuff will go, okay, that was fun. Let's move on now, right?
Okay.
Let's go back to the chips and the things we were doing before, right? So that's when the real challenge starts, that 30 to 60 day period where you're like really starting to shape and mold different things, right? So it can be the exact same practice, but it's consistency. Application consistently over time is what makes a bigger difference, right? And you can start to see shifts happen between, that 3 to 6 month period, right? So it's not necessarily what the task is, it's maintaining that consistency and keeping in high integrity with what you promised yourself you were going to do. Okay. That's when the interesting stuff happens, right? So, and we all deal with it. I deal with it whenever I'm dealing with something that's new to me, a new skill set for me. I've been doing fitness since I was 12. So I can change a fitness habit quite quickly. Yeah. But if you're talking business or, relationships or something that like I don't have as many hours in, and I'm making a big change, it's just as hard and I'll need a coach or somebody to hold me accountable or a group to work with, to stick with that consistent practice until it really starts to take form and change, shape my life experience. So that's how I see it as far as what is difficult in the beginning or how it becomes a little bit harder is breaking through.
Okay. All right. I like that. Makes sense. Follow through, you say, hey? And consistently at that.
Consistent.
Awesome. Tell me, Steve, what tools would you say that the tools that you use are easy to learn, implement, and make part of your day-to-day life?
Yeah, that's another great question. So high performance is being able to show up under pressure. Okay. And business people, we're under pressure all the time. And it looks different. Sometimes it's the physical strain of long days, concentrating for long periods of time. Sometimes, it's other areas of life, relationship, finance. Do you have a life outside of work? All those things. It's pressure, pressure, pressure. And you still have to have performance. You got to get performance in your business. So it is high performance to have simple systems. Because if it's complicated, if you have to have the most knowledge, the most skill, and the most talent to run your system, just the baseline, at a baseline level, then it's going to fail under pressure. So when I'm working with, whether it's executives or whether it's with elite athletes, Olympians, we're always trying to create systems that are simple to operate, that you can operate under pressure. Now, people confuse simple with easy. So, or they think simple is not sophisticated. But when you think about like Apple and their, one-touch technology, the computer itself is very sophisticated. But on the end users end, you point, click. It's intuitive. So that's a very well-designed system when it doesn't require you to have a lot of talent or a lot of skill or a lot of knowledge to use it and to get, a powerful result. So, yeah, I know we value, things that are sophisticated and complex, and we think it has more value in it, but really to get that performance under pressure, it has to be simple. It has to be simple. So I design all my systems to be simple.
I like that. It makes a lot of sense. Tell me, Dan, your turn. If you can tell us whether your tools are easy to learn and incorporate into daily life, and also if you can sort of relate that back a little bit to your fitness program. I can't remember exactly what it was that your objectives are with yours again.
Yeah, I think Steve nailed it on the coffin. So I keep my systems as simple as possible.
Okay.
So yeah, something you can execute on right away. It doesn't really require a lot of thought. And yeah, funny enough, I do the exact same thing with my clients. So there's always going to be a similar structure, but I might tweak it just a little bit every workout just to make it a little more exciting, but also yeah, same thing applies to their daily habits as well. Just something they can work on, really simple, just like, okay, maybe drink 10 glasses because you only drank 7 the other day.
Okay.
Yeah, just keep it as simple as possible.
I like that. That's nice. And, you know, you guys have taken it to a very simple level for our entrepreneurs, you know, for people that are always busy. You know, I've already proved all the way through our call that I'm always maxing myself out on tasks and, you know, pressurizing myself to try and achieve, and then forgetting about my own time, self-care, exercise, and drinking enough water. There's my bottle of water. Have I had one full bottle yet today? No, but I'm working on it. Okay, Brian, can you tell our audience how would they be able to reach out for a one-on-one session with you guys?
The best, like, I mean, we're going to be sharing our links in the show and everything. Okay. But what I say to most people, anyone listening here or trying to figure out what the next step is, I think you're one conversation away to getting the clarity that you might need, knowing what the next steps are. On a panel like this, for example, listeners might resonate with something Steve said or what Dan said, or, you know, use that as a clue. Follow your intuition at the same time and go, you know, I'd like to ask that other question and have that conversation. I think for the most part, even as coaches as well in our practices, what we like to do is really just sort of explore the situation to see if, like, sometimes I like to explore the situation to see if I'm the man for you, if I'm the right coach for you, if I have what you need, or I might know somebody that has what you're looking for, right? So the first conversation is the best place to go, and I think we all share the same philosophy of, like, what's the first easy step to get going, get things moving, and get things started, so that I think what we really want to do is reduce the overwhelm. Like, I've had people step foot in a consult, you know, when I was at the gym, and it took everything. They're like, Brian, I had you in my calendar for almost a year. That's how long it's taken for me to even call you, right? Wow. So it's taken a lot of courage and a lot of inner work to even take that first step. So what we like to do is sort of reduce the overwhelm, right, and make it less stressful, carry some of the load that they might need in our area of expertise to help people move into what they want to go into next. I always look at, when people come in the door, I always think, what I see when you walk in is the finished product. I see the ultimate potential, where you're like, I mean, I see it. We all see it, you know, now it's just a matter of, you know, let's get started, right? So it's all there. Our superpowers are there to be accessed once we start optimizing a little bit more and finding the steps that we need to take, right? The map kind of unfolds itself too as you just start moving forward.
That makes a lot of sense. You know, when your Life Force Juice Bar started, I diarized it for 3 weeks before I managed to manipulate my diary properly so that I could arrive at the first session and then maintain from there. So I just want to ask you as well, Brian, if you can tell me, where is your online gym going towards? Because I'd really like to share with our audience how they can tap into that, because I have found it absolutely incredibly valuable to be able to plug into something which I could literally jump from a meeting, do my session, have a breath, and then continue with my meetings afterwards. Tell me, is that something that's going to be easy for me to access as an outsider?
What we're looking to build out now, after we've sort of had an initial test launch of the wellness space, and you've heard it from all of us, it's a holistic approach, right? So our initial level of programming will include some level of fitness and light movement, but also as a fundamental part as well, Steve is going to have some of the mindset work and stuff dialed into his Champions Map program as well. he offers that part as well. So like, I mean, it's one of those things where we were talking about this before, where if you go to college or whatever, and you're going to school and there's a whole bunch of different subjects, there's some subjects we prefer more than others, right? But we still got to take all the credits.
Yeah, for sure.
So we'll create a formula within somebody's given situation, and to match it with their goals, but it still includes all the parts that are not as easy for us to show up to, right?
Okay.
And then trickling in content and other things, and the support for the juice bar feed. And we love to also get feedback from, you know, how are things going, what's working for you, and what would you like to see more of. We intend to bring in more programming, more coaches and things down the road. But right now what we're doing is working on our base level entry point to get people started into this holistic model that we have, and have doors, just have the paths open, right? So that's the first level of what we're bringing forward right now.
That's awesome. Steve, can you give me some thoughts on the topic?
Yeah, so Natalie, entrepreneurs are notorious for this. We have to put so much time and effort into building our business that we don't build the foundation first. So, with Nestine and Peter with Explore ProTech, they've built this community, and Life Force is the wellness space in that community. So that's what Brian is leading that space to help everyone in that community have a foundation that's going to support their success. You can get results. They're just not sustainable unless you're mentally, emotionally, and physically well. So this isn't something that's really optional if you want sustained excellence. And too many people find out after they get achievement that it's overwhelmed some other part of their life, whether it be their mental, emotional, physical health, their relationships, their integrity. Some people just can't maintain their integrity when they are in the world of achievement. It's win at all costs. It's not a win when the costs are too high. It's not a win. And you don't get that until you get to the finish line and you look back and you see all the destruction, all the damage. So Life Force itself is that pillar within Explore ProTech to help build that foundation. And we came together to create Thrive. And Thrive is really about a community because, and this is, I had a toss-up when you asked me the thing that supported me the most. The other thing that really supports me personally is working in community. I'm really good as the lone wolf. That's my go-to. That's my go-to. And you find a lot of people in business, they can't turn over anything to anyone else because who's going to do it better than me? It's my business. I built it. I know it. No one can do it better than me. Or they're not going to do it like me, or they don't like I do. Whatever that story is, there's lots of stories, but it's the same outcome. It's doing it on your own. And so just like, and I keep mentioning Explore ProTech because I love the fact that they've built this community where people are supporting each other's success. And that's what we're doing in the wellness space, is creating a community that supports your success in the areas. Like, everybody's going to go out and, they're an expert in your own business. You're going to go out and find the things you need to make your business run on a daily basis. But are you going to go out and find the things to make you run on a daily basis? And we miss that. It's real. It's real. So we can get the business. You can make the business successful, and and you can make the business achieve results. But it won't necessarily give you the success and fulfillment that you want without the foundation. There's foundation and fundamentals. So we're starting with the foundation, your physical, mental, emotional health. And then there's fundamental skills that go along on top of that foundation that give you the platform you need to be successful for the long term. So that's what Thrive and Life Force is about, is supporting your success and creating a community of people around you that support the foundation you need, because we often neglect the foundation.
Yeah, wow, that's very powerful. Thank you. That, you know, I love what you guys are doing, and like I said, it's almost like a no-brainer that it's something new to our lives. Tell me, Dan, any thoughts on your side?
Yeah, I think Brian and Steve really covered a lot of it, but yeah, I'd say just basically circle back. The easiest thing to do is just pick up the phone or send an email to me, Steve, or Brian. Tell us what your needs are. We can decide, who's best, or most likely we're all going to be the best fit for that person. And then, just figuring what level of accountability that person needs. And then we'll design that program and success plan for them right then and there.
That is so exciting. You know, I don't even have words sometimes as to how enthusiastic I am about your team. It's powerful. Yeah. There's such incredible knowledge between the three of you that it doesn't matter what level of fitness you arrive with or what level of mobility you have. Yeah. It's just, you've come to the right place to really move forward in your life and achieve. I love it. Okay. Okay, so we have the links in the chat. So anybody wants to reach out, they can reach out to you guys through there. I want to just open the floor to any last thoughts before we end off. Tell me, Brian, would you like to give any last thoughts to our audience?
Yeah, I think what I could leave to the audience right now is you're the hero in this journey, and every hero has superpowers and challenges and things like that. But what we all need is to access our superpowers, because the world is waiting. So whatever it is that we need to do next, what are we looking for next, or how we want to experience ourselves next? What do we need? Who do we need? How do you get started? What's the first step? So like we've mentioned before, that first step could be easily an email or a conversation just to get things rolling. There's so many resources inside of also Explore ProTech and within the tribe that can be pulled into the mix. There's so many different ways it can go. I've been in situations too, also recently with networking meetings, so many people all over the world, where you're like in the conversation and inside of your mind, you're like just like cheering because like, I so need to be in this conversation right now.
For sure. Deja vu.
Whatever it is that you need that touches yourself, that inspires you to start moving towards greatness.
Yes.
You can just start by reaching out. Don't hesitate.
I love that. That's very powerful. It really is. Steve, any last thoughts you'd like to leave our audience with?
Yeah, my thing is holistic high performance. It's people don't know what it is because I made it up. but I made the name up. I didn't make up holistic high performance. It's not optional. It's really not optional, especially now that we've had COVID. Now people know that they don't have to go into the office. Yeah. That you can work from home. People don't want to go back to work. The mindset of people in business is changing, it's shifting, and it really does have to look at the person first and in a holistic way. The interesting thing about this is one of my competitive advantages. I discovered this a long time ago, that unless life is in harmony, you can't have peak performance when you need it.
Yes.
Because usually what happens is, when you need to have a narrow focus, peak performance, if something isn't nurtured in your life, if something's out of balance, it will pull at you.
Yes.
If it's your health, your relationships, your own mental well-being, whatever it is, if it's not there, it doesn't support you to optimize your performance. Yeah. So this really isn't optional. People think it's optional. We treat ourselves like our health is optional.
Yeah.
It's not. It's foundational. It's foundational. And people are starting to discover that now. But if you really want performance under pressure and command performance, show up when the opportunity shows up, then you have to have a solid foundation and you have to have a holistic approach to your high performance. It's actually economy of scale. You leverage yourself, you maximize your abilities. It's not, it sounds like you're going to lose performance because you're doing all this airy-fairy, oh, I'm meditating today. You know, I should be in my business, but I'm going to sit here for an hour. You know, you don't sit there for an hour. In a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year's time, you're crashing.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not that you're taking time away from your business. You're investing in yourself, and you're actually investing in your business when you have a solid foundation underneath. So holistic high performance is what I would say. Really start looking at how you optimize your performance in your business. Make sure that the time you put into your business is quality, not quantity.
Yeah.
So Dan, what do you say, man? Any final thoughts?
Yeah, so I would just say, in the spirit of plain and simple again, yeah, a big belief is not to do business alone, and I think that also applies to your health. So yeah, even if it's just have an accountability buddy that you talk about, that you're going running, that you're going to mention that you're doing that workout. So even just starting with that, and you'll be good to go. Thanks again for having me.
Awesome. This has been fun. Yeah. Thanks, Natalie. Really appreciate you having us on, and yeah, looking forward to people joining Life Force with Explore ProTech and Thrive, the Thrive community, so that we can all help each other support our success. So again, thanks for having us on.
Thanks a lot. It's been a pleasure. Looking forward to further conversations.
Awesome.
Take care.